Yeah. Live on Monday, January 31st. It's a little afternoon, and this is the news that you can use from YAA, coming to you live from our chip manufacturing facilities here in downtown Bethesda, Maryland, doing our best to help alleviate the chip shortages that are just crippling the automobile industry as we know it.
There's no chip shortage after Ray and Zach are done here in the factory.
Hey, buddy up top. Come, you up top.
There,
let's go.
You
can't just be
that
sitting
guy.
Around the whole half hour.
All right, here's the deal. We got the latest chip shortage data, and we also have the new and improved dad cam. When things get heated, you get a view right up that nostril. Here's the deal, Pops.
They could tell I have a deviated septum.
They probably could. Let's kick today's show off with the latest chip shortage information. Let me share the screen, and let's jump right into it. Not good news. That is the high level here. We have the same page, joinya.com/guides.
Yeah.
Oh, and we can sign up for the newsletter. If you haven't, you should. We send out a weekly email.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Zach needs to sign up.
We had this awesome video with David that came out last week, or on Saturday, excuse me. Take a peek at that.
Yes.
But the numbers for this month, Pops, we have January in the books, and things ended up a little higher than at the beginning of the year.
Yes. We are, I think it was 237,000 vehicles were lost to production
So for the month, it's this month, 230,000 vehicles have been taken out of production. The total projection is up to 947,000.
I bet you that's 7 or 8 times late.
Probably when the year comes is all said and do that. So that's up 23%.
Yes.
So the initial projection from Auto Forecast Solutions was 767,000. It's up to 947,000. So we're seeing a replay of last year, which was not that many cars are going to be taken out of production. Oh crap, we've got 11 million vehicles taken out of production. So it's a bit of the same story this week with the data.
Which is why we've developed our fab facility right here in downtown Bethesda to do what we can to help alleviate the problem.
Now you have also whoops. I was going to pull it up, but Bloomberg just blocked me. There was an article in Bloomberg talking about how there are some other factors that may be contributing to the chip shortage as well. For example, flights out of China being blocked because of virus fears, because of pandemic-related fears. So we have this continued struggle. Plus, there was a report that came out that said the reason that we're in this situation is because there hasn't been enough investment in the types of plants that we need to build these chips, which, if you watch our David Chow interview, he talked about, the automakers work in these cycles.
Yes.
And they're behind the 8 ball here. Like they're
going to have to adjust, but it's going to take 3 to 5 years for them to adjust to the newer style chips. And the chip factories don't want to be producing the legacy chips that are less profitable. So it's just like a little bit of a vicious circle. But if you want to have a better understanding as to how all that works, may I suggest that you take a half an hour out of your busy day at another point in the day and watch the David Chow interview that first dropped on our Join YAA channel.
The YAA channel,
on Friday. I think it was, or was that Saturday?
Went out on Saturday. Yeah, David did a master class in explaining what's going on, why it's happened, and what you need to know, honestly, about that. But the reality is here, the price bubble that we're seeing, we have no indication that that's bursted. There are some YouTube channels out there, Pops, that essentially they're putting out titles that are even better than ours.
More clickbaity
than ours. The bubble has burst. It's about to burst. Every single leading indicator. This is what we talk a lot about. It's like, what are the leading indicators that tell us that the chip shortage is going to be, coming to an end sometime soon? The price bubble is going to burst. We've got no leading indicators that say, hey, that's happening.
No, that's true. But the bubble might burst on used cars to some degree.
Share what you shared with me over the weekend on Saturday night stream. You've talked to some folks here in the DC area, the DMV, and they've seen so much softening in consumer demand that they are now
discounters willing to take losses on some of their overpriced inventory that they had to pay too much for.
And that hits on this question, right?
Yeah.
Do you suggest buying right now if you need a car within the next 6 months?
Probably
If it's a used car.
If it's a used car and the dealers have been sitting on it a little bit and there has been a softening of consumer demand, which there normally is in the months of January and February, and if some of the dealers are starting to run a little scared that the bottom might fall out, and they don't want to be caught with $8 or $10 million of overpriced inventory, they'd rather only take a much smaller loss than that. So they might be willing to negotiate a bit more on the cars that have been sitting on the ground a little longer.
Now, I know you've got your ear to the ground. You're hitting the streets, making sure you got the latest information
yes.
for the YAA community.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, I even suffered through the Washington Auto Show. Yes.
Igor saying yes, go out and buy used cars. Now, Pops, hit me with some ballpark numbers. We're not saying who's selling cars at these prices, and we're not saying, we're not naming names right now, but give me some perspective here on how overpriced some used cars are that you should be able to negotiate on, because these dealerships are starting to see the wholesale markets, weaken a little bit.
Things have really softened in the DMV, the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area. And sales are off significantly for these dealers that had huge Novembers and Decembers. Would you get to a different angle? Thank you. And so they're a little concerned, and according to one of my sources, I mean, at some of their dealerships, they've taken as much as a $2,000 loss on the front end of selling a used car, with the hopes of making it all back on the back end. But they just realize that they've paid so much for this inventory that at a certain point, if there's going to be an adjustment, they're going to take it in the shorts. So rather than get stuck with it 3-4 months from now, they're starting to say, the dealer principals and the heads of these large organizations are starting to say, let's move the metal, let's get back to the old style, move the metal, do whatever it takes to make a car deal, and we'll try and make the money back up in finance. But let's not be holding on to these vehicles to the point where instead of taking a $2,000 retail loss, we're going to take a $4,000 wholesale loss.
And here you go. Igor's given us some context here. Lots of auto groups I know are stuck with cars they bought last year, and now floor plan payment compounded that everyone wants to clear those cars. Absolutely. We saw this from Ally Financial. They're one of that was GMAC, used to be GMAC, General Motors Acceptance Corporation.
Yes.
They had they went from $7.7 billion in floor plan
to 11.1
quarter over quarter.
Yeah.
So there is more inventory that's been sitting longer on dealership lots.
And with the Fed getting ready to raise interest rates, then the cost of floor planning those cars is going to go up. So yeah, it's the old compounding going on between what they overpaid for the cars to begin with, and the cost of having to have those cars sit on the ground and paying for that. It just compounds everything, and so it becomes more imperative that they look at these things probably on a weekly basis, as to be making either cuts in the asking prices or the direction that they're giving to their sales staff as to how they can negotiate on these.
Exactly. I think we're moving on from the negotiation free to, okay, we'll negotiate again. I doubt, though, I want to be clear, I doubt you're going to see retail listing prices drop. I doubt you're going to see retail listing. Why not ask? Ask and then negotiate, because we've moved away from negotiating in this environment. I've got from MPEG here, Pops. Yes. I am still seeing a dramatic decrease in the values of the used cars I track. Even last week, they dropped another $1,000, down $6,000 over the last December. And this would be from your Carvanas, your Vrooms, your Shifts.
There was an interesting article that I sent to you today that one of our viewers sent to me today, the Wolf Report.
Okay.
And it was about that the roses come off the bud, so to speak, on these online retailers, and all the things that have contributed to why. And the big why is that they don't know if they couldn't figure out how to make money in the absolute best of times for selling used cars, they're never going to figure out how to be profitable. And they've overpaid for everything. And now that, because their stocks have dropped so dramatically, they're cutting back on what they're paying because they have to. And as I said, I think it was on Friday, the rumor I heard that some of their banks, especially for Carvana, um, are holding back some of the money that they've been willing to lend to Carvana's customers because the vehicles are so overvalued.
I think we were able to leverage Carvana, Vroom, and Shift as really good indicators of what was going on in the market when prices were appreciating. And quite
Yes.
frankly, there was probably an opportunity there to like arbitrage a little bit. Like they were paying too much.
Yeah,
And you know why it was okay? Because their stock price was going through the moon and everything's all good.
yeah,
And I think what we're going to see here is that the real barometers for what the value of a used car is are the traditional players. It's your MMRs and your black books. Those are the two values that dealerships use, and that, quite frankly, the financial institutions use. The financial institutions kind of begrudgingly leverage and use the Carvana numbers because they have to end up signing a loan up against
Yes.
that. But we're hearing and seeing even pushback against there. So neither of us are too terribly surprised to see Carvana offers go down. I still maintain that springtime you're going to see prices go back up from the offers that you're seeing from the online players
yeah, probably.
and the book values. Like when we look on Tuesdays at the used car price
Mhm.
index from Black Book, I'd be very surprised if springtime we're not seeing it week over week, half a point up, quarter of a point up, 7 to,
And I've said this before. I just don't know how long that these type of price increases, wholesale price increases, can be sustained. So that the people I talk to already think that they've paid too much, and they're not convinced that they should be paying more come springtime. So I just have a sense that there's this desire to get back to a little bit of reality when it comes to the prices and the costs.
and maybe even the
what they're
way of
willing
doing
to pay-
business.
Yeah, and what they're willing to pay for these cars. So I wouldn't be surprised if the run up is not quite as big as you think it might be. And God knows I've been wrong about most things. So more than likely I'm wrong about
Yeah.
this. I'll give you one prediction that I'm sure I'm wrong about. The Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. Okay,
Part of
I'm
the reason-
sure I'm wrong about that one.
Part of the reason I have some conviction in what I'm saying is because we come back to the chip data.
Yes.
What started this? It was the lack of new cars. If you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, used car prices tanked. They went down. I remember because I was thinking about selling my car at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
And I didn't. And I'm glad that I didn't because about 3 months later, it was worth considerably more.
Yeah,
when we
who
started.
knew you should have held on to
Yeah.
it for another year? But then you would have been making that $700 a month payment. So
And here you go. I think Matt's hitting it right here.
Yeah.
The used car market bubble is starting to lose air, but most likely won't be a burst until new car market returns to some normal. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
there are underlying, I hate to fundamental reasons why used car prices have appreciated as much as they have, and it's because there aren't enough new cars. Every week we track the numbers. I don't know another YouTube channel. I don't know Automotive News is an industry publication,
yes,
but I don't know who else is tracking those numbers week over week over week,
like
and they
we
are
do.
going up. The
Yeah.
storylines are not great. The only person that we've talked to recently that is like a verified expert that's shined a positive light is
Yes.
David Chow.
Yeah.
He says, hey, 6 months. Okay, I trust
Well,
David. He said 6 months to 12 months.
No, he said it's
By
going to
fall.
be closer to 12, maybe 18 months. But the best case scenario would be 6 to 12 months. But he said more realistically, it's probably 12 to 18.
All right, I want to switch gears here, Pops. We had on Automotive News just this morning, it's one of the leading stories. It is legislation would loosen Florida's title rules.
Yeah, we were on this before Automotive News was.
Now, I am young. I am naive. I have a really cool dad. These are all characteristics.
You have said 3 true things in succession. That was very good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
except for maybe the really cool dad part.
and let me
That
actually,
might have been an exaggeration.
I want to just like juxtapose
Yeah.
really quick here. So I'll share the screen again, but I want to juxtapose the way that media companies
You wanna-
position
you
position
mean
stories.
like an industry publication.
So here's the industry publication. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it side by side
Yeah.
with the Jalopnik article.
So industry publication says legislation would loosen Florida's title rules.
Florida lawmakers are working on legislation that would change the state's motor vehicle title statute to aid car dealers affected by disruptions from the pandemic. Now,
Yes,
let's go to
yes.
Jalopnik,
Yeah.
where I want to give YAA a quick shout out. Look who was
Yeah.
sourced.
Wow. Look at that.
So this actually drives right back to, I went
Yes.
with like a pretty neutral,
Yeah.
and this is not too aggressive for a
Yeah.
title. You come back to Jalopnik, man.
Yeah.
Proposed Florida law will help dealers screw you out of getting your
Well,
title.
there you have it.
Just when you think buying a car in Florida can't get any worse.
Yeah.
All right. So,
You know, the other thing that would happen probably right now is you won't get a title, and you're more than likely to have an iguana fall out of a tree and hit you on your head than ever seeing a title. Yeah, I read this article on Automotive News and I loved it, because they want to blame the whole thing on the pandemic. Okay. And that is such total BS. I mean, yes, there are issues in state title departments.
Yep.
Because of manpower issues. I get that. But that doesn't mean you change the language from you must provide a title to, well, you should try.
Yeah. Lawmakers are considering revising the bill's language. One possible amendment would extend Florida's 30-day title transfer deadline to 45.
Okay.
So that's more reasonable.
But you don't have to change the verbiage from
well, that makes it more
from
reasonable than what
must to should.
Exactly. So the proposed language, if you're new here, which they don't even really do a good job in this Auto News article of highlighting, like just to show you guys.
But the good news is that Auto Nation, which is headquartered in Florida, says they don't need to be changing this law.
That was one
because they know how to handle titles.
So there were a few interesting things from the Auto News take on this. So we've got Auto Nation. So you can see here, Mark Cannon, spokesman for Auto Nation, told WFLA in Tampa the company rarely has issues with transferring titles on time and doesn't think the law needs to be amended. And then if you search in this article, they do talk about. Yeah, here you go. Online used car retailer Carvana, which has recently run afoul of the department, said it played no part in drafting the legislation, but nevertheless said changes to titling statutes could be useful.
Okay.
Could be useful.
Here, I'm just going to say one thing. Okay. I learned this in the 60s, I think it was.
Yeah.
Follow the money.
Pops,
okay? From Watergate. Just follow the money. That's all I can tell you.
Just for a second.
You follow the money and you'll find out that Carvana probably donated to one.
We don't know.
Multiple.
We don't know. We don't know.
I know. We don't know. Just follow the money. There's not a big enough bowl to make that much poop. Well, show me the money. There isn't. Show me the money.
Hey, anyway, but let me show you here. So they don't really actually talk about the language that's in the bill. One of the things I'm really proud of that we did is we freaking took a screenshot of it so you can just read it. Here's the text down here at the bottom, though. If you're new here, it's the proposed languages. The big pieces are dealers should apply for rather than are required to obtain. That's a big difference when you should do something versus you have an obligation.
That's not even, you probably still might even have the obligation, but it's not that you should, that or not that you must, you should. And if you don't, well, you didn't.
Anyway, I found it fascinating that here you go. AutoNation in Florida donated over $10 million in 2021 to state legislation. That's interesting. I'd love to know the source on that. That's fascinating.
But what it shows is that we were on top of this before most.
Definitely. The fact that we were cited as a source on Jalopnik put a huge smile on my face. Jalopnik is like they're like big in the industry.
Yeah, and we're like not. But
we're getting there.
But we're growing.
We're mighty, small but mighty. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Okay, we got itchy feet.
We've got to switch gears here, Pops.
That was cold feet.
We've got to switch gears here, Pops, to like an EV, a big EV story.
Yeah.
Tesla will soon build more than 1 million vehicles per year. This was the headline on Automotive News this morning. Tesla nearly doubled sales and production last year despite supply chain shortages, and looks for similar performance in 2022 and beyond. Let's be clear, though. Tesla, just like other automakers, shipped vehicles without all of the features and functionality. We have a great article back on the Join YAA website. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. But what's your take on Tesla going up to over 1 million, Pops?
Well, they've been around for a while. It's time. The whole concept is to be doubling. Like every year. And so, last year they did just under 1 million vehicles. They produced just under 1 million.
Yep.
Nobody knows for sure. They delivered just under 1 million. Nobody knows for sure exactly how many they delivered in the United States.
Of course.
Because they don't report. But I think it was Cox Automotive that guesstimated that they sold around 350,000 new Teslas last year, delivered 350, which would have meant that they were the number one volume leader in the luxury segment, beating out BMW. And I'm sure BMW doesn't like that.
Yeah, but I don't think BMW quite has the same momentum that Tesla has. I had that chip shortage article pulled up that talks about the features that were removed from vehicles. And it's fascinating. I mean, Tesla removed some USB-C charging and some passenger seat lumbar support, potentially other things that I'm not even privy to or up on. BMW removed like touchscreen functionality in your $100,000 X7.
Wow.
It's.
Was it really necessary?
I think the touchscreen's a pretty big one, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
fascinating to see. I mean, Tesla has been
There's
able
no
to.
fingerprints that way.
Tesla has been able to mitigate aspects of the chip shortage. I guess you
Well,
could say
part
better.
of it is because they don't use legacy chips; they use the newer chips.
And that's a big piece of the storyline here.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they're really, yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
There's like so many fewer mechanical
Older-
components
yes.
that require the older chips that all of these traditional automakers are facing. And one of the other things we learned from David, traditional cars, 1,500, 2,000 chips, somewhere in that range.
Yes.
New EVs, 3,000 chips, but they're the newer, nicer chips, the newer, more effective chips. As he said,
Yes.
they carry more, whatever they were called, transistors,
Yes.
which is insane. Do you remember
Yes.
he was saying they have like millions?
Yes.
Those things are like smaller than your fingernail, man.
And mighty powerful.
More powerful than your fingernail.
Well, it depends how you use your fingernail, I suppose.
We got Brian in here, 40
Yeah.
years in the car business myself.
Yeah.
Let's give Brian a quick little,
Yes.
let's just give him a quick little round of applause.
Absolutely. Anybody that would spend 4 years in the business is a fool like me.
In my prediction, cars will fall 40% by June of 2022. Good afternoon, Zach and Pops. I think, everything that we've looked at doesn't suggest that. KPMG was the only industry kind of, group out there that said that car prices would fall severely like that.
Yeah, but they were predicting by the end of this year.
Yeah, June
Yeah,
seems
June's
a little aggressive.
early, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. What is Ray? My source is a GM at AutoNation store in Dulles, Virginia, that gives the GM meetings annually. And during their yearly award celebration last year, it was announced by one of the CEO partners at AutoNation. I think this has to do with some of the floor planning expense and challenges that they're facing there. That makes plenty of sense.
Everybody's facing those challenges.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's answer one quick question here, and I've got another story I want to
Okay.
turn to. If a car dealership says they offer a lifetime powertrain included warranty, I guess,
Yeah.
can they deny that for a cheaper price? They basically pre-charging your new engine or tranny, whether you need it or not. This is kind of like an open-ended question tied to, should you believe when you hear we've got a lifetime warranty?
They got a lifetime powertrain warranty. The only problem is that you more than likely you won't do all the things that are required so that it remains in effect.
Yeah, a lot of language there.
Which might require, I don't know, an oil change every 23 miles, not 2,300, not 3,000. I mean, and all the work has to be done at that dealership, and so it'll probably turn out that warranty isn't worth the paper it's printed on, especially if, say, you move.
Let's switch gears here to a question that's actually really topical.
Yes.
Short Round wants to know, when is the sweet spot to go and look for a used car this year? And I think we've been hitting on it a bit today, Pops. I
Yeah.
think we're starting to see it. I'm going to put you on the dad cam for this one.
Yeah, I think it might be now. I think right now there's a little bit of fear starting to creep in at the dealership level with what they've paid for cars. Days on lot has increased. I'm going to sneeze. I guess I'm not.
Wait a second. And Igor, thanks. I pulled that up there. Pop on
Yeah.
your headphones, Pops.
Oh my God. Geez, that hurt. If I blow up, ladies and gentlemen, it's only because I had an internal sneeze and not an external one. Well, there you saw it. Oh my God. That's the second show that's happened where I was 100% certain I was going to sneeze and I talked myself out of it.
You're funny, man. So when is the time to start?
Now.
We're starting to see some of what we would like to refer to as cold feet when it comes to
Or itchy. Feet.
cold feet, because
Yeah.
we've put a lot of money into cars. And let's be clear, retail asking prices are still really, really, really high.
Way too high.
Way too high.
Yeah.
That being said, negotiate. You can
Yes,
actually negotiate again.
But days on lot have crept up a little bit. Used car inventory has crept up a little bit. So, and consumer demand has softened a little bit.
And let's take a quick.
And to
yeah.
be honest with you, consumer demand softens every January and February. That's nothing new. What's new is the fact that the dealers are sitting on all this inventory that they know they paid way too much money for. And so the fear is that that's going to depreciate quickly. So they'd rather do something about it sooner
Yeah.
than later.
And let's look at a perfect example of this.
Okay, I would love a perfect example.
I just went to the website and I just plugged in Toyota Camry. Here's a 2016 Toyota Camry for sale, used,
Yeah.
54 days on the market,
Yeah.
99,000 miles on it. I'm kind of curious.
Oh
I
my
want to see the
God.
price history really quick. So they listed it for sale at, so here you go. This is a perfect example. They've actually already started, they dropped the price, $500.
Yeah.
And when they do that, after 4 weeks.
Yes.
So we actually might be in an environment where if you follow YAA from day one, we were teaching you things like days on market, and we were teaching you things like after a certain 30 days, we're going to drop the price $500, and after another 30 days, then we're going to drop the price some more, right? Like these were the tactics in the industry when you were a part of it. That's a perfect example. I just picked the first one that showed up. It's a perfect example.
And the best example of all this would be the fact that at a proactive dealership that really knows how to manage their inventory, they would run weekly reports showing how many times that vehicle was either demoed or shown. Now, if in a week's time nobody cracked the door on it, well, you'd have to say to yourself, is it the price? More than likely it is.
Yep.
So in order to create some interest, you would look at the numbers weekly and go, okay, let's drop the price $500 this week and see if we get somebody to at least crack the door and take it for a test drive this coming week. And dealerships that really know how to manage their inventory do that. They look at what goes on at these statistics weekly so they can make weekly adjustments. And then there's other dealerships that
Let's put this to the test real quick.
Tend to be a little lazier than that and don't make the adjustments when they should.
So what I did over here is I filtered by days on market.
Yeah.
So we're still looking at used 2016 Toyota or used Toyota Camrys.
Yes.
I filtered 30 to 60 days on market.
Yes.
Let's just pick one.
Okay.
This is done on the fly right here. This one's at Capitol Plaza. Okay, I want to look at the price history.
Yeah.
It was listed for sale on 1/6 at 27. So they haven't dropped the price yet.
Yeah, because they just got it.
They just got it. Yep. Look at the appreciation in price. It last was listed and sold back in June of last year.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So that appreciate. But let's look at one more. Let's see if another one has decreased the price. Let's go to let's do one that's been out there for 59 days on market.
Okay.
Let's see what they've done with this one. 59 days on market.
Same. Is that the same
dealership.
dealer? Yeah.
$36,985. No, they're sticking with it, man. So this is an example of a dealership that is just, and look at the price history on a vehicle like this. This is absolutely insane. The fact that new it was this price and now used it's this price.
What year is it?
It's a 2021.
Wow.
It's only got 1,200 miles. Let's try one more.
It's probably a retired service loaner. Perhaps.
Yeah. Let's try one more.
Okay.
That's too long. Jesus, man. Give me a clicker. Let's try this one.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So this one's at Fitzgerald Wheaton. Price history. There you go. So it was listed 25,999.
So they haven't dropped the price since.
No, they have. Because now, nope, they haven't.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's another example. Sitting onto it. We seem to have a breakdown.
Oh, well, there you have it.
Well, we tried.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, now I got a bug that I can report to the team. That's always exciting. But these are examples.
Well, this is the type of stuff we need to figure out during the live show.
Oh, it's perfect. There's 300 people here. Let's have the site go down.
Yeah. When we're pitching the product.
But these are the things legitimately that actually were totally not applicable last year.
Yeah.
That are becoming applicable.
And
again
it's
this
smart dealerships. They're very applicable this year. I'm telling you, the smart dealerships, at the very least are looking at and adjusting pricing every 10 days based on how many demos a car gets, based on the level of interest there might be in a car. That's what you have to do, and eventually we'll get back to the absolute 60 to 90 day turn policies on pre-owned cars, to where dealerships would say, okay, we have a 60-day policy. If the car's not sold in 60 days, it's going to the auction. We'll sell it at the auction.
Here we go.
And they
Igor,
start adjusting prices accordingly.
Igor suggested check out 90 to 120 days. Let's
Okay.
take a quick peek. So this one's got 105 days on market.
Yes.
got
30,
very few.
9,200 miles.
34,985. No, they're holding fast because these are all prices from when it was previously sold.
Well,
Wow, back in October.
That was a year
back in
ago.
November. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
last year. Yeah.
none of these are.
Okay.
So they're holding their
Well, maybe
price.
it's just that particular dealer. We keep pulling up Landover, Toyota.
Let's try one more. So this is a 100 days on market Ultimate Auto, 14,988.
That's an independent used car lot.
Interesting. This one
Yeah.
now says current. I got to talk to the team about this. Anyway, yeah,
Okay.
would be
Talk to the
interesting.
team.
It would be interesting to see though if there are more and more dealerships that are now starting to do that. First one we pulled up is a perfect
Yes.
example of it. Okay, another show in the books. We
Wow.
got to get back to work. We got to get back to.
Yeah. We got
got chips
to get this guy.
Yeah, he hasn't moved.
He hasn't done.
He hasn't done jack.
Squat.
He hasn't done
jack squat in like over a half an hour.
and those guys.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Those two are just going, yeah, well, he seems to be stuck up there.
All right, everyone, be back with us tomorrow. Check out the video that we're dropping today on the YAA channel.
What do we drop?
I think it's you doing an incredible with the magic pencil on the iPad.
Yeah.
Lease breakdown.
Oh,
Some of the
okay,
best
cool.
content we've produced in a long time. Check that out. Become a member. Join YAA.com. Get a coach that'll walk you through as you're buying your car. When you own your car, we got people here to help you.
And also, please watch last Saturday's video.
Oh, with David Chow. So good.
It is the most educational video we've ever done.
And just to show you, in case you're new here, you can go. Actually, I think it's under resources. Yeah, you can go to resources. You can go to YouTube.
YouTube.
Take you right there. It's this video. This is the video that we're talking about. Okay. I'll put it in the chat really quick. But
well, something with your coffee.
I mean, but actually here,
Yeah.
read this really quick. Easily one of the most interesting and informative videos I've seen. Kudos to YA for getting David on the channel. Look forward to hearing updates from him as we climb out of the hole we have dug for ourselves. Literally, we don't always get positive comments on our videos, and we get that. This is one of the best ones I think we've ever put out there.
Yes.
So please do yourself a favor. Don't F your coffee. Instead, watch that video. Let me
Yes.
pop it in the chat. And
You
then
owe it
Pops.
to yourself.
You really do. You'll become
Yeah.
a more informed consumer because of
Yes.
it. Pop that in the chat. Let's get back to work.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. See you all tomorrow. Be here again, sometime around noon.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.